welcome to night number 34 of History Bedtime Stories in bed in our pajamas. Tonight, let's talk about the Holbert Gate. You've probably driven past it. It's on Jefferson at the foot of Cadillac, and it's been there since 1894. Now, that used to be a much busier location. In fact, in 1900, that gate was the entrance to Waterworks Park, the second busiest public park in all of Detroit. It's named for this guy, Chauncey Holbert, who actually was born in Oneida, New York. He is 22 years old in 1825 when he comes to Detroit seeking more opportunities, better money, big adventures. And he comes here as a saddle maker and harness maker for horses. And he does pretty well and earns enough money to go into the grocery store business with his brother-in-law. They are very successful, and in 1837, he buys out brother-in-law and goes it alone. He's making really good money, he's making inroads into the city of Detroit, and he becomes well-known and wealthy enough that he starts getting elected and appointed to some very auspicious positions. He becomes a member of the Detroit Board of Trade, he is the commissioner of sewers for the city of Detroit, and is elected twice to the Detroit Board of Water Commissioners. During his second election to the Board of Water Commissioners, we are just out of the American Civil War in 1868. And in 1868, this was a heck of a time to be in Detroit. We are doubling the population of the city every decade. The city is growing, and this need for a municipal water system becomes really evident. So in 1868, construction starts on what will become the municipal water station and pumping station, as well as a city park, Waterworks Park. Originally designed to be 72 acres, it expands to 110 acres. The pumping station is completed in 1879, and in 1900, Waterworks Park is so busy, like I said, it becomes the second busiest park in the city. Now, Waterworks Park, I got out my old postcards, was known for a couple of things. Among it, this observation tower. At 124 feet high, it was a revelation. I get it, guys. I get that in 2020, the idea of a 15-story building doesn't really get us excited. We do that pretty often. But in 1900, the idea that you could climb up 124 feet and you could look out at the skyline of the city of Detroit, across the Detroit River to our sister city, Ontario, Windsor, in Canada, and just marvel at this bird's eye view was a big draw. There was also the floral clock made of thousands of living flowers, its mechanized hands keeping time. Waterworks Park really was both practical as the pumping station, bringing in water from Lake St. Clair and pumping it out to most of Detroit and Southeast Michigan, but also as a park. As the park grows and expands, in 1885, Chauncey Holbert dies, and he leaves $250,000, the equivalent today of just shy of $6 million, to the city of Detroit to beautify Waterworks Park. The city almost instantly agrees to take $30,000, or about $750,000 adjusted to today's inflation, and build the Holbert Gate. Now, the gate is this Art Nouveau, gorgeous, giant, 132 feet long, 40 feet deep, 110 feet wide gate entrance to the city's Waterworks Park. Up in this arch, there was a bronze bust of Chauncey Holbert himself, made of limestone. There's even a limestone eagle on the very top. And on the sides, there were these shells that were giant. They were 8 feet across, and they served as troughs for horses and dogs visiting the park to sort of get a little bit of water. The gate is done by the architects Breed and Mueller, and it opens in 1894. It takes 9 years after the death of Holbert to complete the gate. Made largely out of limestone with a bronze bust and cast iron gates, this marks the entrance to the park for generations. Now, the park falls into less and less use. During World War I, World War II, and the Korean War, For reasons of terrorism and public safety, the park is closed. It's thought unwise to let any Tom, Dick, or Harry get that close to the city's water supply. In 1957, the park pretty much closes for good, although about 6 acres along the riverfront eventually reopens, with some other acreage opening up as a park later in the 1980s. In the early 2000s, the gate itself undergoes a massive restoration. It costs about $600,000, but some of that money actually comes from the fund set up 125 years before by Chauncey Holbert himself to beautify the park. It has been subject to some acts of God and acts of theft over the years. The bronze of Chauncey was stolen. Completely stolen in the year 2000. Nobody knows where it is to this day. Also in December of 2000, multiple people working together just because of the sheer weight of the gates managed to steal and make off with the gates, which probably incredibly sadly were sold for scrap, although we don't know that for sure. They've never been found. And then in 2019, on a hot August night, a thunderstorm rolls through Detroit and a bolt of lightning hits the American eagle carved out of limestone on top of the gate, destroying it to absolute smithereens. Today, the gate still stands, missing its bust and missing its eagle, but beautifully restored on what was the grounds of Waterwork Park. Behind it, you can still see the pumping station to this day. Wash your hands.